The journey to Earth Defense Force Outpost 17 took 6 days. During those days, the crew of the Crimson Dawn transformed from a desperate group of escaped prisoners into something resembling a military unit. Maya organized training sessions. She taught basic tactics to those who had never fought in coordinated groups. Jake worked with Chris to teach others how to operate the ship's systems. Kron and Zasha trained fighters in close combat. Scretch and Valen taught stealth and infiltration techniques. They were a strange crew. 8 different species, 20 languages, and a dozen different fighting styles. But they shared something important. They all knew what it meant to be caged. They all knew the value of freedom. That common ground made them stronger than any ordinary crew. On the 3rd day, they encountered a problem. A distress signal appeared on their sensors. A civilian transport was under attack by raiders. Maya studied the tactical display. 3 raider ships surrounded the transport. They were in the process of boarding. "It is a trap," Grath warned. "They see our ship and think we are allies. When we get close, they attack." "Maybe," Maya said. "Or maybe it is a real distress call and people need help." She looked around the bridge. Every face showed the same internal conflict. They wanted to help, but they were barely holding together as a crew. Taking on 3 raider ships was suicide. "We cannot save everyone," Jake said quietly. "We need to deliver this intelligence data. That is the priority." He was right. The tactical choice was clear. Keep moving. Deliver the data. Save thousands of future victims by stopping the planned raids. But Maya was not just a tactician. She was a soldier, and soldiers did not leave people behind when they could help. "Chris, take us in," she ordered. Battle stations. The Crimson Dawn changed course toward the transport. The 3 raider ships noticed immediately. They broke off their attack and turned to face the newcomer. 3 against 1, Scretch observed. "Bad odds." "We have faced bad odds before," Maya replied. "Target the nearest ship. All weapons." The battle was quick and brutal. The raiders expected an easy fight. Instead, they found a crew that knew how to work together. Scretch controlled the weapons with precision. Chris piloted the ship with skill that belied his short time at the helm. The freed prisoners operated shields and sensors with growing competence. The first raider ship took critical damage and retreated. The second tried to flank them but walked into a perfect firing solution. Its engines exploded. The 3rd ship saw what happened to its companions and ran. The civilian transport was saved. 50 lives that would have been lost to slavery. When they hailed the Crimson Dawn to offer thanks, Maya simply said they had been in the area. She did not give her name. She did not ask for recognition, but word of the encounter spread. A slaver ship that attacked other slavers, a crew of freed prisoners hunting their former captors. The story traveled through underground channels, from port to port, species to species. When they finally reached Outpost 17, Maya delivered the data storage device to the base commander personally. His name was Commander Lewis, a career military officer with gray hair and tired eyes. "This is incredible," Lewis said, reviewing the data. "Ship movements, raid schedules, contact information. We can shut down the entire network." "That is the plan," Maya said. "How soon can you act?" "We will dispatch forces immediately. 3 raids prevented, dozens of ships identified. This will save thousands of lives." He looked at Maya with respect. "You did well, Lieutenant. Your actions reflect great credit on the Defense Force." "I did what anyone would do," Maya said. "I survived. I fought back. I made them pay." Lewis nodded. "And what now? Will you return to active duty?" Maya thought about the crew waiting on the Crimson Dawn. Kron and Zasha, who had pledged their loyalty. Scretch and Valen, who had become friends. Grath, who had learned to respect human strength. Rix, Chris, Jake, and all the others. They had become more than a crew. They had become family. "I have unfinished business," Maya said. "The slave trade does not stop with one network. There are others. I intend to find them." Lewis raised an eyebrow. "With a stolen slaver ship and a crew of former prisoners?" "Yes, that is technically illegal. You are taking possession of captured enemy property, operating outside official channels, acting as a privateer without formal authorization." Maya met his eyes. "Are you going to stop me?" Lewis smiled. It was a small, knowing smile. "I did not see you. This conversation never happened. But if a certain ship happens to attack slaver operations, and if valuable intelligence happens to reach this outpost from anonymous sources, I will be grateful." "Understood, sir." They shook hands. Maya left with supplies, ammunition, and medical equipment that Lewis claimed were surplus inventory. She also left with something more valuable: the knowledge that Earth forces were taking action based on her intelligence. The Crimson Dawn departed Outpost 17 and disappeared into deep space. Over the following weeks, reports began to circulate. A ship attacking slaver convoys, prisoners being freed, raider bases being destroyed. Always the same ship, always the same pattern. Strike fast, free the captives, disappear before reinforcements arrive. The slave trade began to feel the impact. Ships that operated with impunity for years suddenly found themselves hunted. Captains who thought they were untouchable learned to fear the open space lanes. The Liberation Fleet, as it became known, was small but effective. Maya and her crew hit 6 slaver operations in 2 months. Each time they freed prisoners. Each time they gathered intelligence. Each time they sent the data to Outpost 17. And each time Earth forces acted on that intelligence, the crew grew. Freed prisoners who wanted revenge joined the Liberation Fleet. The Crimson Dawn became a symbol. Other ships joined the cause. What started as 1 converted slaver vessel became 3, then 5, then 7. The galactic community began to take notice. Ambassadors from peaceful species reached out to Earth asking about the Liberation Fleet. Was it official policy? Was Earth declaring war on the slave trade? The Earth government's response was carefully neutral. They neither confirmed nor denied involvement. But privately, they provided support. Supplies appeared at dead drops. Intelligence was shared through back channels. The Liberation Fleet operated in the gray areas of galactic law, and Earth was content to let them do so. Maya became a legend without intending to. Stories spread about the human female who had been locked in a cage with monsters and proven herself the most dangerous one there. They said she could not be killed. They said she could read minds and predict attacks. They said she had the strength of 10 warriors. Most of the stories were exaggerations. But the core truth remained. Maya Collins was dangerous. She was skilled, determined, and absolutely unwilling to quit. She fought like someone with nothing to lose because she had already lost everything that mattered to her. Her crew, her ship, her normal life, all gone. What remained was purpose. On a quiet night 6 months after their escape, Maya sat in the captain's chair of the Crimson Dawn. The bridge was empty except for her. She looked at the stars through the view screen and thought about how far she had come. From prisoner to captain, from victim to hunter, from one scared woman in a cage to the leader of a growing fleet. Jake entered the bridge, carrying 2 cups of something that passed for coffee in this part of space. He handed one to Maya and sat in the co-pilot's chair. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Go ahead. Why do you keep doing this?" "We could stop. Take the crew somewhere safe. Live quiet lives." Maya sipped the terrible coffee and considered the question. "Do you know how many people are in cages right now?" "Like we were. Scared, hurt, waiting to be sold?" "Too many," Jake said. "Exactly, too many. And as long as that number is greater than 0, I will keep fighting. Because I know what it feels like. I know that fear, that helplessness, and I can do something about it." Jake nodded slowly. "So we keep hunting." "We keep hunting," Maya agreed. "Until they learn that humans are not good prey. Until they learn that taking us prisoner is a death sentence. Until they fear us so much that they never try again. And if we die in the process?" Maya smiled. "Then we die free. That is more than a lot of beings can say." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, more prisoners waited in cages. More slaves hoped for rescue. More families were being torn apart by raiders. The Liberation Fleet would find them. Maya would make sure of it. Years later, historians would study this period. They would mark it as the turning point in the galactic slave trade. The moment when the hunted became hunters. The moment when victims became warriors. The moment when one species said enough and backed it up with action. They would study the battles, the tactics, the intelligence operations. They would analyze the political impact and the social changes. They would write papers about the effectiveness of the Liberation Fleet's methods. But they would always come back to one central fact. It started with one woman, one human female who refused to accept her fate. One soldier who turned her cage into a command center and her fellow prisoners into an army. The galaxy had locked Maya Collins in a cage with monsters. They had expected her to break, to submit, to accept slavery. Instead, she showed them what monsters really looked like. She showed them that humans, when pushed far enough, when stripped of everything except the... Captain Freck was no amateur. He had been raiding ships and capturing slaves for 15 years. He had fought in close combat dozens of times. He was skilled, experienced, and dangerous, but he had never fought a human before. Maya came at him fast and low. Freck swung his plasma blade in a wide arc designed to cut her in half. She dropped and rolled under it. Her momentum carried her past him. As she moved, her legs swept out and caught his ankle. Freck stumbled but did not fall. The countdown continued. 75 seconds. The other bridge crew members tried to help their captain. Jake and Chris met them with brutal efficiency. Kron and Zasha poured through the door and joined the fight. The small bridge became a chaotic melee. Freck recovered and slashed at Maya again. The plasma blade hummed with deadly energy. Maya blocked with her rifle. The blade cut through the weapon like paper. She threw the destroyed rifle at Freck's face and attacked with her bare hands. 60 seconds. She struck his wrist. The blade dropped. She grabbed it before it hit the floor. Now she had a weapon. But so did Freck. He pulled a backup blade from his belt. They circled each other in the cramped space. "You are skilled," Reek admitted, "but you cannot stop the countdown. Accept death with honor." "I don't accept death," Maya said. "I make other people accept it." She attacked again. This time she was not trying to kill him. She was driving him backward toward the command console. Freck defended well, his blade meeting hers in flashes of energy. But he was moving where Maya wanted him to move. 45 seconds. They reached the console. Maya kicked his knee, the same move she had used on Grath. Freck grunted and dropped to one knee. Maya's blade went to his throat. "Turn it off," she said. Freck laughed. "I would rather die." "Then die," Maya said. She pressed the blade closer. It burned his skin. "But I will make it slow. You have 40 seconds. That is a long time to suffer." She saw the fear in his eyes. He was brave, but not brave enough to face torture. His hand moved to the console. 30 seconds. His fingers moved across the controls. The countdown slowed. 29 seconds, 28. It held at 28 for a long moment. Then it began to count down again. "Wrong code," Freck said with a weak smile. "I lied." 20 seconds. Maya did not hesitate. She pulled Freck away from the console and shoved him toward Jake. "Hold him." She moved to the controls herself. The display was in an alien language, symbols she could not read. But underneath the alien interface she could see the basic structure. All computers followed similar logic. 15 seconds. "Chris," she shouted. "I need you." Chris was across the bridge finishing off the last crew member. He ran to Maya's side, looked at the console. His eyes widened. "I don't know this system," he said. "Figure it out," Maya replied. "You have 12 seconds. Chris's hands flew across the controls. He was guessing, using logic and luck in equal measure. He found what looked like a master control. He entered what looked like a cancel command. 8 seconds error message. The system rejected his input. 5 seconds. "Override," Maya said. "Look for physical override. They always have one." Chris scanned the console desperately. There, a panel under the main display. He ripped it open. Inside were manual switches. He began flipping them randomly. 3 seconds. The countdown stopped at 2 seconds. The red warning lights turned yellow, then green. The self-destruct sequence was canceled. Everyone in the bridge released a breath they did not know they were holding. Maya turned to Captain Breck. "Your ship is ours now. Your crew is defeated. You have nothing." Freck looked around the bridge. Every one of his crew was down. The prisoner stood victorious. His expression was one of disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered. "Slaves do not defeat their masters. It has never happened." "There is a first time for everything," Maya said. "You made a mistake. You captured humans. We do not make good slaves." She turned to Jake and Chris. "Lock him up. Same cell he kept us in. Let him see how it feels." They dragged Freck away. Maya looked at the rest of her team. Kron had a slash across his arm. Zasha was limping. Grath had plasma burns across his chest. Everyone was wounded, exhausted. But they were alive. They were free. Rix appeared in the doorway, moving carefully through the aftermath of battle. "The rest of the crew has surrendered," he reported. "We control the ship," Maya nodded. She moved to the captain's chair and sat down. The bridge was hers. The ship was hers. But she knew this was just the beginning. "How many prisoners did we lose?" she asked. Rix's ears drooped. 7 dead, 11 wounded, some badly. 7 lives lost for this freedom. Maya felt the weight of that. Each one had a name, a home, a story. They had trusted her plan. Some had died for it. We remember them, she said quietly. We will tell their stories. She looked at the control displays. The ship's systems were functional. They had fuel, weapons, and supplies. But they also had problems. Chris, can you pilot this thing? Maya asked. Chris studied the helm controls. It is not that different from our ships. I can manage it. Where are we going? That was the question. Maya thought about it. They could run, try to find a safe port. But Rek had sent a distress call before they took the bridge. Other slave ships would be coming. They had maybe 3 hours before company arrived. Jake, check the ship's logs, Maya ordered. I want to know everything about Captain Rek's operation. Routes, contacts, other ships. Jake moved to a secondary console and began pulling up data. His expression darkened as he read. This is bad, he said. Vrek was part of a network. 15 other ships. They coordinate their raids. Share information about target worlds. Maya leaned forward. What kind of information? Defense capabilities. Population centers. Valuable targets, Jake looked up. They have detailed information about human colonies. 3 raids are planned in the next 2 months. The news hit Maya like a physical blow. 3 more raids. Hundreds, maybe thousands of humans would be captured. Families destroyed. Lives ruined. Download everything, she said. All the logs, all the data. We need to get this information to Earth Defense Force. That will take time, Jake warned. Then we buy time, Maya said. She looked at the tactical display. 2 ships were approaching their location. Vrek's distress call had been answered. She stood and walked to the weapons console. Scretch was already there, his 6 limbs perfect for operating multiple controls. Can you fire these weapons? Maya asked. Scretch clicked his claws. I learned fast. Point and shoot, yes? More or less, Maya agreed. She studied the tactical display. 2 ships, both similar class to the Crimson Dawn. They probably expected to find Rek in trouble, maybe with a few escaped prisoners to recapture. They were not expecting a fight. Battle stations, Maya ordered. Everyone to your positions. Chris, bring us about. Target the nearest ship. Scratch charge weapons. The freed prisoners moved to their assigned positions. Most had no idea what they were doing. But they were learning. They were adapting. They were becoming a crew. The nearest ship came into range. Maya could see it on the display, close enough to identify. It was another slaver vessel, probably responding to help a colleague. Hail them, Maya said. Jake found the communications controls. Channel open. Maya leaned toward the microphone. Attention, approaching vessel. This is the Crimson Dawn. We have experienced a change in management. Turn back now or face destruction. There was silence. Then laughter came through the speakers. This is Captain Thresh of the Dark Harvester. Vrek, your prisoners are playing with the communications. We are coming to assist. This is not Vrek, Maya said coldly. This is Lieutenant Maya Collins of the Earth Defense Force. The Crimson Dawn is under new command. You have 1 chance to retreat. Take it. More silence. Then Thresh's voice harder now. You are escaped cargo. You are dead. We will recapture you and make you wish you had stayed in your cage. Maya looked at Scretch. Target their engines. Fire when ready. The Crimson Dawn's weapons came alive. Plasma cannons sent bright bolts across space. The Dark Harvester tried to evade, but they were too close. The shots hit their engine section. Explosions blossomed across their hull. Again, Maya ordered. More shots. The Dark Harvester's shields failed. Their engines went dark. The ship was dead in space, drifting helplessly. The second ship is retreating, Chris reported. Maya watched it turn and accelerate away. Smart captain. He had seen what happened to Thresh and wanted no part of it. Let him go, Maya said. We have bigger concerns. She turned to Jake. How is the data download? 70% complete. Give me 10 more minutes. Those 10 minutes felt like hours. Every second, Maya expected more ships to arrive. But the space around them remained empty. They had been lucky. Very lucky. When the download finished, Jake transferred the data to a secure storage device. Everything Vrek knew about the slave trade, every route, every contact, every planned raid. It was intelligence worth more than gold. Chris, set course for the nearest Earth Defense Force outpost, Maya ordered. Maximum speed. The ship turned and accelerated. Behind them, the Dark Harvester drifted, damaged and helpless. Ahead was safety, home and the chance to stop more raids before they happened. But Maya was not done. She looked at the freed prisoners around the bridge. Different species, different worlds, different backgrounds, but they had fought together. They had won together. "We have a choice," she said to all of them. "We can deliver this data to Earth forces and go our separate." The new prisoners stumbled into the cell, exhausted and defeated. The guards watched with bored expressions. They had seen this scene countless times. New captives always looked the same, broken, hopeless, ready to accept their fate. But Maya saw something different. The two human males were not broken. Their bodies showed signs of a fight, bruises, cuts, torn uniforms, but their eyes were clear. They were assessing the situation, looking for advantages. They were still soldiers. The taller one was named Jake Murphy. Maya learned this later. The other was Chris Hayes. They had been stationed at a colony outpost when the raiders came. Their entire garrison had been wiped out. They were the only survivors. As the new prisoners entered, Maya positioned herself near the door. Kron and Zasha moved to their assigned positions. Scretch and Valen tensed, ready to move. The other prisoners who were part of the plan shifted slightly, creating space, preparing. The guards began to turn away. The force field started to flicker back on. This was the moment Maya moved like lightning. She grabbed the nearest guard's weapon arm and twisted hard. The creature yelped in surprise. Before anyone could react, Maya had his plasma rifle. She reversed it and slammed the stock into his face. He went down. Kron and Zasha exploded into action. The Velkon berserkers were built for combat. Kron tackled a guard, his momentum carrying them both through the doorway. Zasha's forearms were a blur, striking with devastating precision. Another guard fell. The new human prisoners reacted instantly. Jake Murphy drove his elbow into the throat of the guard nearest him. Chris Hayes swept another guard's legs and came down with both fists on the creature's head. The element of surprise was complete. 6 guards had entered expecting routine prisoner transfer. Instead, they faced coordinated attack from trained fighters. Within 15 seconds, 4 guards were down. The other 2 were backing away, reaching for their weapons. Scretch and Valen burst through the door in a coordinated rush. Their 6 limbs gave them incredible speed and maneuverability. They hit the retreating guards from 2 angles. The guards never stood a chance. Maya was already moving down the corridor. She had memorized the layout from Scretch's descriptions. Left turn, then straight, then right. The armory was 3 corridors away. They needed weapons. They needed to arm everyone before reinforcements arrived. Behind her, the other prisoners poured out of the cell. Grath roared with joy at his freedom. The others followed, some scared, some angry, all desperate. They had been caged like animals. Now they were loose. "Jake, Chris, with me," Maya shouted as she ran. The 2 men fell in beside her without hesitation. They moved like a trained unit, covering angles, watching for threats. An alarm began to sound. Loud, piercing, impossible to ignore. The ship's crew would be scrambling now. They had maybe 2 minutes before armed resistance arrived. They rounded a corner and found 2 crew members running toward them. Maya did not slow down. She fired the plasma rifle. The weapon kicked hard, but she controlled it. 1 shot. The first crew member went down. Jake grabbed the second, slammed him against the wall, and took his weapon. "Nice to meet another human," Jake said between breaths. "Especially one who knows how to fight." "Save the pleasantries," Maya replied. "We have work to do." They reached the armory door. It was locked with a coded panel. Maya looked at Chris. "Can you open it?" Chris examined the panel. "I am an engineer. Give me a minute." "You have 30 seconds, Maya said. She could hear shouting, footsteps, the sounds of the crew mobilizing. 30 seconds was generous. Chris pulled a small metal piece from his torn uniform. He jammed it into the panel's access port and began manipulating wires. Sparks flew. The panel beeped angrily. 15 seconds. More crew members appeared at the far end of the corridor. They saw the escaped prisoners and opened fire. Plasma bolts scorched the air. Maya and Jake returned fire, forcing the crew to take cover. 10 seconds. Grath and the other large prisoners caught up. They formed a living shield, their bodies blocking the corridor. Plasma bolts hit them, and they roared in pain but held position. They were buying time with their bodies. 5 seconds. The armory door hissed and slid open. Chris grinned. Got it, they poured into the armory. Weapons lined the walls. Plasma rifles, energy blades, stun grenades, armor pieces. Everything a slaver crew needed to control their cargo and defend their ship. "Arm everyone," Maya ordered. "Quickly!" They grabbed weapons and ran back to distribute them. Grath took 3 plasma rifles, one in each of his 4 hands. Kron and Zasha selected energy blades that hummed with power. Skretch and Valen grabbed rifles designed for beings with multiple limbs. The prisoners who had never held weapons received quick instructions. Point. Pull trigger. Try not to shoot allies. It was basic, but it would have to do. Now came the hard part. They controlled one corridor and had weapons, but the crew controlled the rest of the ship. They had the bridge, the engine room, and superior knowledge of the layout. Maya gathered her key fighters. We need to take the bridge. Without it, we cannot control the ship. Without the ship, we cannot escape. Jake nodded. Bridge will be heavily defended. Captain will have his best fighters there. Then we hit them with everything we have, Maya said. No holding back. We take the bridge or we die trying. Inspirational. Chris muttered, but he checked his weapon and nodded. Let's do this. They moved through the ship like a wave of violence. Every crew member they encountered either surrendered or fell. Some prisoners fell too. A small creature named Pip took a plasma bolt to the chest and died instantly. Another prisoner, whose name Maya never learned, was caught by a crew member's blade and bled out in the corridor. But the momentum was with them. The crew had not expected organized resistance. They had not expected escaped prisoners to work together, to fight with purpose and coordination. They were unprepared for human tactical thinking combined with alien combat capabilities. The route to the bridge became a battlefield. The crew established a defensive position at a security checkpoint. They had barricades, heavy weapons, and energy shields. This was the line they would not allow the prisoners to cross. Maya assessed the situation. Direct assault would cost too many lives. They needed a different approach, Valen, she said. Those ventilation shafts. Can you fit through them? The Hivran hunter looked at the ceiling access points. Yes, narrow, but I can manage. Get into the ventilation system. Work your way behind their position. When I give the signal, attack from behind. We will hit them from the front at the same time. Valen disappeared into the ceiling. The crew at the barricade did not notice. They were focused on the main corridor, expecting a frontal attack. Maya waited. Patience was hard when every second counted, but timing was everything. She counted to 60, then to 100. She had to give Valen time to get into position. At 120, she raised her hand. The signal, she charged the barricade. It looked suicidal, and the crew thought so too. They opened fire with everything they had. But Maya was not alone. Kron and Zasha came from different angles, using their speed to avoid the worst of the fire. Grath followed, his massive body absorbing hits that would kill smaller beings. Then Valen dropped from the ceiling behind the barricade. His 6 limbs were a whirlwind of death. Claws slashed. The crew members at the barricade panicked, caught between threats from 2 directions. The defensive position collapsed. Maya vaulted over the barricade using a fallen guard as a step. She landed in the middle of the remaining crew and created chaos. Her rifle fired at point-blank range. Her boots connected with vulnerable joints. She was a tornado of violence, and nothing could stop her momentum. Jake and Chris followed close behind. They had fought together before in basic training and simulations. Now they fought for real, and their coordination was flawless. The security checkpoint fell. Ahead was the bridge door, reinforced, armored, designed to withstand attacks. But between the prisoners and that door was nothing. The path was clear. Maya approached the door. She could hear activity inside. The captain and his bridge crew knew what was coming. They would be preparing their last defense. Grath stepped forward. "I break door," he said simply. "Wait," Chris said. "Let me try something first." He approached the control panel next to the door. This one was more complex than the armory lock. Military-grade security. But Chris was good at his job. He pulled wires, crossed connections, overrode safeties. The panel sparked and died. The door remained closed. Chris frowned. "It has a mechanical backup. We will need to force it." "My turn," Grath said. He began to pound on the door hinges with his massive fists. The metal groaned under the impact. Other strong prisoners joined him. The door frame started to bend. Inside the bridge, Maya heard a new sound. A countdown. She recognized it from her training. "Self-destruct sequence. Faster," she shouted. The captain activated self-destruct. The prisoners redoubled their efforts. Metal screamed. The door hinges gave way. The heavy portal fell inward with a crash. Maya was first through the door, her weapon raised. The bridge was small, cramped with equipment and displays. 5 crew members stood ready. In the center was Captain Vrek, his hand on a plasma blade. "You cannot win," Vrek said calmly. "The ship will explode in 90 seconds. We all die together." Maya looked at the countdown display. 87 seconds. She looked at Vrek. She made a... The days that followed taught the prisoners of the Crimson Dawn a lesson they would never forget. Humans were different. Humans were dangerous. And Maya Collins was something special even among her kind. Grath's broken arm took 3 days to heal. The alien physiology was remarkable, but the damage Maya had inflicted was severe. He sat in his corner of the cell, quiet now, watching the human with a mixture of respect and wariness. He no longer tried to claim anyone's food. He no longer spoke of rules. The hierarchy had shifted and everyone knew it. Maya used those days well. She talked to every prisoner who would speak to her. She learned about their species, their worlds, their capture. Each conversation added to her growing understanding of the situation. From Kron and Zasha, the Velkon berserkers, she learned about combat techniques used across the galaxy. They were impressed by her fighting style. Fast, efficient, brutal. They said it reminded them of their own people's methods, but with something extra, something they called adaptability. "Your species must be warriors," Kron said one evening. "You fight like you were born for it." Maya shook her head. "We fight because we have to. My world has known war for thousands of years. We have fought each other, fought nature, fought to survive. It makes us hard." Zasha tilted her head. "Hard is good. Hard means strong, but you have something more. You have fire inside." "We see it in your eyes," Maya did not respond. She knew what Zasha meant. It was determination. Refusal to quit. Her instructors at the academy had called it warrior spirit. Her father had called it Colin's stubbornness. Whatever its name, it had kept her alive so far. Scretch and his partner Valen, the 6-limbed Hivran hunters, taught her about the ship's layout. They had been prisoners for 2 months and had observed everything. They told her about the guard rotations, the cargo bays, the engine room. They drew maps in the dust on the floor, which they quickly erased before the guards noticed. "The ship has 3 levels, Scretch explained. "We are on the lower level. Cargo and prisoners. Middle level is crew quarters and life support. Upper level is bridge and weapons control." "How many crew?" Maya asked. 25. "Maybe 30. They rotate. Some sleep while others work." Maya did the math. 30 crew members versus 20 prisoners. But the crew had weapons, training, and control of the ship. The prisoners had nothing but their bodies and their desperation. "What about weapons?" Maya asked. "Where do they keep them?" Valen clicked his claws together. "Armory on middle level. Near crew quarters, locked. Coded access only." Maya filed that information away. An armory meant supplies. If they could reach it, they would have a chance. But getting out of this cell was the first problem. She studied the force field. It hummed with energy, a blue glow that never faded. She noticed that when guards passed through, they used a small device on their belts. The field would flicker for 2 seconds, just enough time to enter or exit. 2 seconds. Not much time, but maybe enough. The other prisoners began to see Maya differently. She was not just another captive waiting for sale. She was planning something. They could see it in the way she watched everything, the way she asked questions, the way she never stopped thinking. A smaller creature approached her on the 5th day. It looked almost like a dog, but with intelligent eyes and the ability to speak. Its name was Rix. "You plan escape?" Rix said quietly. It was not a question. Maya looked at the small creature. "Maybe. I help. I am small. I see things others miss. I hear things others do not hear." Maya nodded slowly. "What have you heard?" Rix moved closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Guards talk. They say we reach way station in 3 days. Broken chains. They take on new prisoners there. Cell will be crowded. New prisoners meant the cell would be opened. It meant opportunity." Maya felt a spark of hope, quickly controlled. Hope was dangerous. Plans were better. "Tell me about this way station," Maya said. Rix described it. A rough place, lawless, where slavers met to trade and resupply. Security would be lighter there because everyone was involved in illegal activity. No one would interfere with another slaver's business. 3 days. Maya began to formulate a plan. It was risky, probably insane, but it was better than waiting to be sold like livestock. She gathered her small group. Kron, Zasha, Scretch, Valen, and Rix. She found a corner where the other prisoners could not easily overhear. "I need you to trust me," Maya said. What I am about to propose is dangerous. Some of us might die, but if we do nothing, we are all slaves anyway. Kron nodded. We listen. Maya outlined her idea. When the new prisoners arrived, there would be confusion. The guards would need to process them, move them into the cell. During that chaos, they would strike, fast and hard, take the guards' weapons, fight their way to the armory, arm everyone. Take the ship. Scretch shook his head. Too risky. Too many things can go wrong. Everything can go wrong, Maya agreed. But I would rather die fighting than live as a slave. Wouldn't you? The question hung in the air. Each of them considered it. Each of them remembered their capture, their homes, their freedom. Each of them made a choice. I fight with you, Kron said. Sasha nodded her agreement. We hunt together, Scretch said. Phelan clicked his claws in agreement. I help however I can, Rick said. Maya looked at Grath, who had been listening from his corner. The big warrior stood and approached. You broke my arm, Grath said. You humiliated me. But you also showed respect by not killing me when you could have. I am warrior enough to recognize true strength. I fight with you. More prisoners joined. Not all of them, but enough. 12 beings from 8 different species, all willing to risk death for a chance at freedom. Maya assigned roles. Kron and Zasha would handle the initial assault on the guards. Their Velcon physiology made them naturally dangerous in close combat. Scretch and Valen would secure weapons and watch for reinforcements. Their 6 limbs made them excellent at multitasking. Grath and the other strong prisoners would provide muscle. Rix and the smaller beings would scout and provide intelligence. For 3 days they prepared. They exercised in their corners, building strength. They ran through scenarios and whispered conversations. They watched the guards even more carefully, learning their patterns, their weaknesses, their fears. Maya noticed something during this time. The guards had begun to watch her differently. One guard in particular, a thin creature with green skin and too many teeth, stared at her every time he passed. He said something to his partner and they both laughed. Rix translated. He says you will fetch high price in gladiator markets. Says human females are rare and entertaining in the fighting pits. Maya felt cold anger settle in her chest. Gladiator markets. They wanted to watch her fight for entertainment. Watch her kill or be killed for the amusement of others. Let them think that, Maya said quietly. Let them think I am valuable merchandise. It will make them careless. On the 3rd day the ship shuddered. They had arrived at broken chains. Maya could hear activity outside the cell. Voices, movement, the sounds of docking procedures. Hours passed. Then the door to the holding area opened. Guards entered more than usual. 6 of them all armed. Behind them came a group of bedraggled prisoners. Maya counted 12 new captives. Among them she saw something that made her heart skip a beat. 2 humans. 2 human males in torn Earth Defense Force uniforms. The guards herded the new prisoners toward the cell. The force field flickered off. The moment of opportunity was coming. Maya caught the eye of one of the human males. He was tall with dark hair and a bruised face. His eyes were alert, scanning the situation even as the guards pushed him forward. Maya made a quick series of hand signals. Military code, wait, follow my lead. Be ready. The human male's eyes widened slightly. He made a subtle signal back. Understood. The new prisoners entered the cell. The guards were relaxed, confident. They had done this hundreds of times. They saw no threat from these defeated, broken captives. They were wrong. Maya caught Kron's eye. She nodded once. Everything happened fast. Maya Collins opened her eyes to darkness and pain. Her head throbbed with a sharp ache that made thinking difficult. She tried to move her arms, but her entire body felt heavy and unresponsive. Slowly, her vision cleared, and she saw metal walls around her. The air smelled wrong, like chemicals and something she could not identify. She remembered the patrol. She remembered her ship, the Wanderer, cruising through the outer sector. She remembered the alarm, the red lights flashing, and then the explosion. Her crew, they were gone. All of them. The memory hit her like a physical blow, but she pushed the grief away. She needed to focus. She needed to survive. Maya sat up slowly and looked around. She was in some kind of holding cell. The floor was cold metal and dim lights flickered overhead. But she was not alone. Around her were creatures she had never seen before. Big ones, small ones, some with fur and some with scales. All of them looked tired and scared. A massive creature sat near the wall. It had gray skin, forearms, and tusks that curved from its jaw. Its eyes glowed yellow in the dim light. Next to it was something that looked like a giant insect, with 6 legs and sharp claws that clicked against the metal floor. There were others too, 20 different beings all crammed into this space. Maya's military training kicked in. She assessed the situation quickly. The cell was about 20 feet by 30 feet. There was one door with a glowing blue force field covering it. 2 guards stood outside, both carrying weapons that looked like plasma rifles. The walls were thick metal, probably reinforced. No obvious escape routes. She noticed something else. The other prisoners were watching her. Their eyes followed her movements. Some looked curious. Others looked hungry. She realized she was the newest addition to this cage, and that made her vulnerable. A voice spoke, rough and deep. It came from a creature with orange fur and sharp teeth. The words were strange, but somehow Maya understood them. There must be a translator somewhere, she thought. Human, the creature said. You are far from your world, Maya did not respond. She kept her expression neutral and continued to observe. The military had taught her that showing fear was dangerous. Showing weakness was worse. The massive 4-armed creature shifted its position. It studied Maya with intelligent eyes. I am Grath, it said. I lead here. You follow my rules. Maya looked at Grath. He was at least 7 feet tall and probably weighed 400 pounds. His muscles were clearly visible under his skin, and those tusks could do serious damage. But Maya had fought bigger opponents in training. Size was not everything. Where are we? Maya asked. Her voice was steady. A different creature answered. It had 6 limbs and moved like a predator. Slave ship, it said. Crimson Dawn. Captain Vrek takes us to Krell Prime. There we are sold. The words settled over Maya like ice water. Slaves. They were going to be sold as slaves. She had heard rumors about alien raiders hitting outer colonies, but Earth Defense Force had always dismissed them as exaggerated. Clearly they were wrong. How long until we arrive? Maya asked. The 6-limbed creature made a sound that might have been a laugh. 10 days, maybe 12. Depends on stops, 10 days. Maya filed that information away. 10 days to plan, to prepare, to find a way out. She would not be sold. She would not be a slave. She was a lieutenant in the Earth Defense Force, and she would find a way home. Time passed slowly in the cell. The prisoners received food once a day, thin gray paste that tasted like metal. Water came through a tube in the wall. The guards changed shifts every 6 hours. Maya counted everything, memorized everything. She noticed that the force field flickered slightly every time the guards changed position. She noticed that one guard was more alert than the other. She noticed which prisoners stayed together and which ones stayed alone. On the 3rd day, Grath decided to establish his dominance over the new prisoner. Maya was sitting in her corner, conserving her energy when she heard heavy footsteps. Grath approached with 2 other large creatures behind him. The entire cell went quiet. Everyone watched. Human, Grath said. You are small, weak. You give me your food portion. Maya looked up at him. She calculated distances, angles, leverage points. Her training instructor's voice echoed in her mind. Use their size against them. Fast beats strong. Never hesitate. No, Maya said simply. Grath's eyes widened. Clearly no one had refused him before. The other prisoners moved back, creating space. They knew what was coming. You refuse? Grath's voice rose. I break you. He reached for Maya with one of his 4 arms. It was a mistake. Maya moved. She rolled left, avoiding his grab, and came up fast. Her fist drove into his knee joint with all her strength. Grath roared and stumbled. Maya did not stop. She grabbed his arm, used his own momentum, and threw him off balance. In Earth's gravity, this would have been difficult. But here, wherever here was, the gravity felt slightly lighter. She was faster than she should be. Grath crashed into the wall. Maya was on him in seconds. She struck his throat, his eyes, his joints. Every hit was precise, calculated. She fought like a machine, no wasted movement, no hesitation. Her hands and feet found weak points that made even this giant creature vulnerable. The fight lasted maybe 30 seconds. When it ended, Grath was on the floor, one arm clearly broken, breathing hard. Maya stood over him, barely winded. Her hands hurt, but she showed no sign of pain. The cell was completely silent. Every prisoner stared at Maya with new eyes. The small human had just defeated the dominant fighter in the cage. The hierarchy had changed in 30 seconds. Maya walked back to her corner and sat down. Her heart was pounding, but her face remained calm. She had made a statement. She was not prey. She was not weak. Touch her and there would be consequences. The 6-limbed creature moved closer. Its voice was quiet. I am Scretch, it said. You fight well for a human. I fight well for anyone, Maya replied. Scretch made that laughing sound again. Yes, I see this now. The guards will see too. They will mark you as dangerous. Good, Maya said. Let them. 2 other creatures approached carefully. They were tall, with dark blue skin and 4 eyes each. They moved like trained warriors. I am Kron, one said. This is Zasha. We are Velkon. We respect strength. You have strength, Maya nodded. I need information. About this ship. About the guards. About where we are going. Kron and Zasha exchanged a look. Then Kron sat down near Maya. We tell you what we know, he said. But why? You planned something? Maya looked at each of them. Scretch, Kron, Zasha, and beyond them the other prisoners who were now watching with interest instead of pity. I plan to get out of here, Maya said. Anyone who wants to help is welcome. Anyone who gets in my way will regret it. Scretch's claws clicked on the floor. Escape from Crimson Dawn? Impossible. Many have tried. All have failed. Maya smiled for the first time since waking up in this cage. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who had accepted a challenge. They were not human, she said. And in that moment, the galaxy began to learn what that meant.